I guess for the
Awesome.
audience that's starting to tune in here, we'll just
Yep.
give them a little bit of a recap of what's going on.
Hello.
We are going to talk about how to create a personal brand in healthcare, and we're both optometrists, so this could be something that would be applicable for optometrists, for dental professionals, for professionals that are in nurse practitioner school or OD, I'm
Mm.
sorry, MD or DO, PA, really anybody in the healthcare realm, nurses, any facet. We're just going to be discussing about ways to brand yourself in healthcare, and honestly, I think that you have been a champion,
Thank you
Harbor, with
very
this.
much.
You have done a very nice job. You've already connected with a lot of people in your community. You've been doing this for years, and so I'm excited just to have that conversation. We got maybe about a minute or so here, so I guess we might as well go ahead and start off. If you want to give a brief
Sure.
introduction about yourself, I'll follow up and we'll get the ball rolling.
Sounds good. Thank you. So Harbir Sian here. I live in Vancouver. I have two optometry clinics I'm a partner in Surrey and in Abbotsford. Surrey is about 30 minutes out, and Abbotsford is about an hour out of Vancouver. I've been practicing for 9 years. As you said, Ryan, really big proponent or advocate for kind of building a brand, getting out there, building a community, letting people know that you exist and what you're about, what your profession's about, so you're not kind of isolated. And I think that's sort of the way to go in the new age, if you will, right? This is the way to connect with people now. And um, I think I'm glad that we're doing this, because I feel like a lot of people want to discuss this, and they're already on the right track, but they're kind of
Yeah.
not quite sure how to get started. So
And I think the audience may not even know you and I have never actually shook hands face to face.
that's true.
We made an effort. I think it
Yeah.
was back at Vision Expo West a couple years ago,
Hmm.
and we tried to touch base. Big meeting, just something that we just didn't have the opportunity to really do it. But
Yeah.
both of us are very passionate about doctor education, patient education, creating a personal brand. I myself, I am an optometrist here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Been here for about 6 years and absolutely loving life. Have a practice next to a Lens Crafters North Lake Eye, where I partner with Dr. I Got This. I'm sure you guys have seen her on
Mm.
Instagram, Dr. Rachel Rubel, and her husband, Dr. Brad Rubel. They're both fantastic, and we've had that for a couple of years now. I'm also pretty involved in the patient education side of things with Intro Wellness, which is a health and
Hmm.
wellness patient education platform. We also do a lot of product and service reviews in the health and wellness space, and that's been a lot of fun. It's been a big passion of mine. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I guess we might as well jump right in though. And really,
Yeah.
I think the question of the moment is why even create a personal brand? I mean, what would you think? What would you tell somebody when they say, hey, I want to go ahead and I want to create a personal brand? The first question I ask them is why? I mean, what is your response to that?
I think first of all, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, I think we are a brand. Everybody is their own brand, whether, if you want to look at it that way. So the way you dress, the way you talk, what you do each day, it's all part of your brand. And so I think the why is basically to take control of that scenario, that narrative, right? So rather
Yeah.
than somebody just kind of looking at you and saying, this the guy who goes to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, it can be the guy who is an optometrist, guy or girl, who's getting out there and involved in the community and likes to do these things, patient education. So I think for that reason, I think because we don't have a choice but to be a brand, I think that's the reason why we should be taking control of our personal brand.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, when I went ahead and we drew a little outline just so you guys had something for us to really talk to you about. But I want to tell everybody that's watching, if you have questions or anything that you want to interject
Yeah,
about, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Really, at the end of the day, why not create a personal brand? I mean, the digital world is here. The internet, we have the opportunity, like we're doing right now, to create content, to connect with our peers and connect with our patients and connect with our colleagues and family and friends all across the world.
hmm,
So why not? And in doing so, it opens up doors, it opens up opportunities. And I think one thing that we were even talking about a little bit, you create a personal brand not to really sit there and tout yourself, but to
hmm.
open up doors. It's not
That's it.
something where you need to sit there and stroke your own ego. It's to let people know, what you're passionate about, what you're drawn to, how you want to make a difference in this world. And that's something that you and I are both very passionate about is, we're
For
really
sure.
passionate about optometry, patient education, helping others, getting involved in our community. And, I really do. I would tell somebody who's interested in creating a personal brand or going ahead and creating just their own kind of digital, what do you call it, digital resume, to really
Yeah.
sit there and write down why you're doing it, And then to start to highlight some goals of why. I'm a
Yeah.
big proponent of goals and throwing those things on paper and really checking back periodically and seeing how you're actually meeting your goals, how all that's going on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I spoke with a few friends as I think I was not, like you said, I didn't have a goal or set of goals in mind over the last couple of years as I was making YouTube videos and putting out content kind of haphazardly. And then 6 or 8 months ago, I sort of decided, you know what, I got to be a little more detailed or have a bit of a direction about this. And so I would say last 6 months or so, I've really been trying to kind of get in line with those goals, and I do check back from time to time, and I'm glad to see that like I'm slowly creeping towards. So in the past, for example, it was more so patient education videos, and lately I feel like I've kind of turned inward towards a profession, sort of like looking at ODs and students and others that I feel like I might be able to help, with the intention of, hopefully speaking and doing things like this so I can connect with more people. And I feel like that in just a short period of time, 6 months, it's really, really headed in that direction pretty strong. So you're absolutely right. Having goals, having a direction is really important. One of the people I reached out to recently is she just graduated as an MD. Her name's Emma. Her handle is at D1 the Doctor, D12 DR. And she's got a solid following, and she's got a lot of people who really, really admire her and appreciate her. And that's the number one thing she said is, don't do it just because you think you're going to get likes and followers. Go up there with an actual direction. Like her plan was to really help people in her position, MD students. And she's really done a great job in engaging with people. So absolutely agree with you on that.
I 100% agree. The following, on paper, the number, the likes, the number, not important. And actually, isn't Instagram testing getting rid of the like count in Canada? Can you attest to that? Has that happened yet?
Yeah. I was wondering why I was seeing most of my accounts. I can't see the numbers anymore. I wasn't sure. So they're testing it here. I actually
testing
like it.
They're testing it in Canada, and I hope they do that for followers as well, because at the end of the day, people should be creating content to connect with others, not to sit there and play the who's who game. You don't want to sit there and look at, hey, I got this many likes, they got that many likes, this many followers, that many followers. That's not really what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's about, getting your message out there, putting together content that is meaningful to you as an individual, and then creating kind of that one-on-one conversation with people, or whether it's a one-on-one to be a direct messaging, or, whether it's a kind of a community-based sense where you're commenting, on posts, or, connecting in person. All that is really important. And I hope they move that route and, across the country. I really do. And I hope they get rid of the follower count. I think that'd be something that'd be a really good move for Instagram and Facebook.
So we have Vishal has got a question here. We might as well we're gonna answer questions just as we go, Ryan, and versus trying to keep it. Okay, awesome.
I love that.
So
why not?
Vishal's asking, how did you guys set the goal for your personal brand, and how often do you check the temperature? Awesome question. So how did I set the goals? I'd sat down with somebody who actually that I know who has built a good brand online. Somebody I kind of looked up to, and somebody who I felt she had already set goals, and she'd use them to promote her business and grow. So I sat down with her and I spoke to her, and I think that's something I posted recently. I titled it "Support." Right, that was the title of that post that I made, and I think that was a huge part of it. Anytime I'm looking to start something and I don't really know how to get things in line, I just speak to somebody that I know who's done something I already want to do.
So you reached out to somebody, made a human connection with them, not just online. You said, hey, I want to talk to you, right? Isn't that amazing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we sat down, we had coffee. I can't believe it.
And you do that a lot actually in your community, don't you? I mean, you do a lot of one-on-one. We were just talking about that earlier, how you set meetings throughout the week, whether it's, engagement meetings just to get to know people in your community, whether it's business to business, whether you're setting up, meetings with patients. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to do it. Actually, today, I don't know where the line is for this, but today I had a patient, and he's an older gentleman in his 70s, but he was, did a lot of business, and now he does business mentoring. And I was like, you sound like you got a lot of information I could probably use. And he's like, let's get coffee this week, later this week or next week. I was like, why not?
Honestly, why not? And from my perspective, just to go back to the question here, I create goals quarterly for myself, my family. We just write it down on paper. My wife kind of hated it at the beginning. She's like, what are we doing? But the reality is that if you don't put it down on paper, who knows exactly how it's going to be implemented, right? It's just kind of out of sight, out of mind. We post it somewhere in the home. We check back. And so I recently created this doctor Instagram profile just because I didn't want to blow up everybody on my personal connections with something that I was passionate about. I wanted to kind of keep the two separate, but I know people that do both, right? They go ahead and turn their personal into their professional and kind of rock both worlds. Whatever you're comfortable with is something that you should consider. But for me, just checking back quarterly and just seeing where I'm at, just like you kind of have routines about how you check your bills, how you check your bank account, how you check, your fitness levels. Everybody has routines. Just build it into your routine. Something that I found is very effective. And then you kind of pivot and make adjustments. Maybe you have a goal or two where just you didn't meet it, or maybe you're no longer passionate about it, or it just isn't the right goal anymore. And there's nothing wrong with scrapping it, saying, hey, I gave it a try, or maybe it just, it fell out of my, just kind of went to my rearview mirror and throw something else up on there in the current moment. But keeping yourself kind of in check that way is how I do it.
For sure. I think that's really good just in life in general. And one thing you said there, just again, I don't want to stay on it too long because we talk about the branding side, but being able to look at it and say that didn't work, throw it away and keep moving is so important. Like, don't spend time dwelling on stuff that didn't work. Let's just move on. It's okay. Eat it. Like, just keep going.
Is this your first Instagram live? This is my first. And if it didn't work tonight, if you guys hated it and we weren't connecting with people, fine, we'll get rid of it. But you got to take chances, and you got to sit there and you got to look at how you can best get your message across, or how you can, achieve your goals and move forward with it. So I'll let you go ahead and touch on the next kind of topic that we had, which was what is a brand? And I know that's something that you researched pretty heavily ever since you've been putting together, kind of your platform right here.
Yeah. So again, I was touching on earlier, a brand is, you are a brand regardless of whether you think about it. To this day and age, the way that we're putting ourselves out there, the pictures you put out there, the way you talk, the way you communicate with people, you're a brand. But what I was thinking was, like, not to go too big picture, but like, what do you think of when you think of McDonald's? The arches, the burgers, the fries, right? What do you think of when you think of Apple? You think of the sleek tech, the innovative design, that kind of thing. So
think of all the stuff I have around me right now, my watch, my phone, my laptop.
In your ear.
Oh my God, my ear, man.
Yeah. So that's one way of looking at it, is like, so these brands have deliberately designed themselves to have etch this thing in your memory. But think about individuals, like Apple is a perfect example. Steve Jobs, the turtleneck and the glasses and like the keynotes and that kind of thing. He deliberately branded himself a certain way. And, one thing I kind of got a little bit of pushback from a couple of ODs I was speaking with locally about, like, well, I'm established, like, I want my clinic to grow. I don't want to be the guy who is the face of the clinic necessarily. They're thinking big picture. They want to be able to step back and exit strategy and all that.
Yeah.
But if you want your clinic to grow, like, branding yourself as a certain type of doctor, like you have a specialty in dry eye or keratoconus, or you fit scleral or whatever, myopia control, putting yourself out there and branding yourself out there to the consumer is so important, because people will come to your clinic for that reason. And so that was the thing I was just thinking about. Think about how the picture you want people to see when your name is mentioned. And I think that's the brand. Like, that is the brand. It's like, what do you feel? What do you see when somebody says your name? I don't know if you agree with that or what your thoughts are.
I'm all about the feeling. When somebody mentions something, like you said, McDonald's, Apple, pick your favorite brand out there. It's all about what you think, what you perceive, what you feel. Look at 2020 Glance right there saying, hey, two of my favorite people? I think of that brand. I think of, her 100%. summarizing. I think of her summarizing everything I read on a Monday morning, So it's that's how you build it, and I completely agree with you there. I think we had a question as well.
Do you want to read that
popped up? Yeah, sure. I think that it's really important to have mentors in this industry. Couldn't agree more. How do you suggest students like myself go about reaching out to a potential mentor without sounding weird or intrusive? I mean, at the end of the day, I think if anybody thinks you're weird or intrusive, then they're not the right mentor for you. I'm happy to mentor people. I know a lot of my friends and colleagues and everybody in the industry. I've never had somebody say, "Hey, I don't want to help you out." It's a pretty, I would say, giving profession. I think everybody connects pretty well. Whether that's in optometry or in healthcare across the board, I think that people that go into health in general kind of have that giving and helping and nurturing state of mind. Otherwise, we wouldn't be helping patients and take care of them. So that's how I would do it. I would reach out via LinkedIn. You can direct message people on Instagram. You can send them a Facebook message. If you have their email, shoot them an email. If they gave you your business card at any networking event, you can shoot them a text or give them a call. Otherwise, they shouldn't have given you their business card, right? I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to. Just be just be confident in yourself and reach out and see where you go from there. And I can tell you, I've had some mentors in our profession, and I'm very thankful for them. They really have helped, carve the way for where my professional pathway is at. How about you, Harbir?
Yeah, I agree. I like this comment here. I'd be flattered if someone approached me for mentorship, just look for someone passionate about the profession. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it too. Anytime somebody contacts me, I'm actually flattered. I almost thank them for like reaching out to me, But what I've done, and I still do this, I mean, even though I'm 9 years in, but I'm always trying to do new things, and that's going to answer one of the questions that we
You don't look
earlier.
9 years in, man. You don't look 9 years in.
I just got a haircut. Thank you. But even now, I'm still reaching out to people, and it doesn't have to be people older than me. I'm reaching out to younger people. That's one thing I have to say is like, you got to eat your ego, and you just got to like reach out to people, and if that person is doing something that you want to do, or has done something you want to do, be polite, be genuine, be honest, and like simply say, I'd love to chat with you sometime, and get your thoughts on one or two things, and slowly. And something else, when I talk to people about this stuff, I always say, play the long game. Like, always think about it as a long-term strategy. I know personal experience, when I reach out to someone, I'm itching to hear back right away and get like everything out of them right away. But the longer it goes, after months and months, you realize it was so much more beneficial to just play the long game, because you get the community, to get the build a relationship, and so much more. So just reach out, be genuine, be kind. It's easy.
I think authenticity is a huge thing. If you reach out to somebody and you genuinely have interest in what you're doing, what they're doing, and how they can help kind of mold your professional pathway and your professional journey. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, don't sugarcoat it. Don't be fake. Don't try to impress them. Just be authentic. And I think that will really speak volumes for the person that you're reaching out to, but also it'll create a better relationship and bond.
For sure. Yeah. Sorry, I keep looking to the side because that's where the notes are.
You're good. You're good to go.
I think them up right in front of me.
Yeah, I think the next step in the process really is just talking about, what are we doing to create our own personal brands? I mean, you can look at both of us. It's not like we have thousands and thousands of followers, here and there. It's not like we have, these big, I don't have Nike yet. I'm working on them, but it is what it is. I'm wearing these for Apple. Come on, Apple.
Yeah.
But no, the reality is just putting together a professional profile online, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you want to. At least, from my perspective, I have something on LinkedIn, obviously Instagram now, Twitter. And I just activated a YouTube account just so I could actually share these videos down the road, because might as well, it's something that we can share these on YouTube. But my Facebook is personal, and I have a personal Instagram, and I think I have a professional, kind of foot forward on our practice website, and obviously through Intra Wellness, I have another professional foot forward there. How about you, Harbir?
Yeah, same kind of stuff. I think the best first step is just to create a profile on all those platforms. I encourage everybody to do all the platforms. They all work differently. They all reach different people.
Yeah.
And, then start creating content. So I kind of shifted. I spend a lot more time on Instagram now than I used to on Facebook, or than I was on when I was previously doing YouTube and that kind of thing. But find what works for you. I'm a big fan of Jay Shetty, if you're familiar with him. And one of the things that he said recently I thought was convenient for me was, you might be trying to become a big YouTube star, but YouTube might just not be clicking for you. But those exact same videos on Facebook, all of a sudden you're making, you're getting thousands and thousands of hits. And actually that specifically spoke to me, because that's exactly, because I don't know how to work YouTube, to be honest, and maximize the search engine. I post my video and it gets like 100 hits. I put it on Facebook, it gets literally thousands. And I was like, okay, so Facebook is the way for me to disseminate my, my content. And Instagram's been pretty cool too. So just practice at it, chip away at all of them a little bit.
What's your favorite right now? Is it Instagram or is it
Instagram? Yeah, but I'm understanding. Yeah, it depends on what your goal is, right? So if you're going for the public audience, then you probably want to do something like Facebook and Instagram. But if you're looking at doing more of B2B or like to other professionals, LinkedIn is awesome, and LinkedIn is still a little more kind of basic in their algorithm compared to Facebook and Instagram. So when you post something, more people actually see it. Like
you get a fantastic organic reach on LinkedIn. Yeah, exactly. And I'm on LinkedIn. I mean, I love LinkedIn. I've been very involved on there for a long time, and I agree. Um, and honestly, I recommend if people are creating content to share it on all of them. Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram makes it easy because you can automatically shoot it over to Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
But if you're making videos, share them on YouTube, share them on LinkedIn, and even posts in general. And as long as
Yeah.
you feel that they're meeting the certain platform, don't get too personal on LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
maybe not too professional on their other platforms. You're good to go. You're good
Yeah.
to go. I think that was actually an interesting question. Glam Optometrist asked, how do you build a personal brand but not be too personal? She didn't ask this on this particular like live right now feed. She sent it to us earlier. How
Hmm.
do you respond to that though? I think that's a very, in today's day and age, that's a very relevant question.
Yeah, and it's tricky. There's like this big gray area there, I feel like. One thing I've said from day one, and of course you've done this as well, is create a separate profile, right? And so on Instagram, kind of again, that's the platform I spend most of my time on. I have a personal, and then I have the clinic pages, and then I have my Harbir Sian od, which is my professional. And generally speaking, my way of doing it is I don't put a lot of family related and friends related stuff on my professional page unless somehow it ties into my overarching goal for that, which is building my personal brand and letting people see what I'm about on a professional level. I
Sure.
don't share a lot of family stuff. I have to say Instagram allows you to have a couple of levels though, right? Because you have stories and you have your feed.
Yeah.
So you'll see on the feed I'll post more family stuff because I feel like that's a little more, generally we like to see a little more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so on the story, I should say I post a little more family things, and you'll see like me at the park with my daughter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the stuff that's staying there, that's not going to be a whole lot of family and personal. How about you?
I think it comes down to preference. I know a lot of people that they go ahead and they post everything through one account, and
Mm,
it comes down to their comfort level. I do think if you do build a following and you're really trying to build a brand that's not only professional but connects to people on an interpersonal level, having kind of having that line where like I'm able to post up to something like just an outing with family or friends, or just hanging out with your kids, or your parents, or a birthday, or this or that. I mean, everybody's going to have their own particular threshold.
yeah,
As long as they're aware of that and understand that, and understand the consequences if they go too far, maybe how they feel or how other people may feel about it. That's really what it comes down to. I will say that one very important thing that we should never post about as healthcare professionals is patients,
yeah,
particularly with their
yeah,
demographic information, because
yeah,
we do not want to violate HIPAA, and we don't want to violate our privacy with our patients' privacy and their trust with us, because it's just not, you don't want to go there. And
yeah,
I think that, as we get older and more generations come through and start jumping on these platforms, it's going to be harder for them to really realize that and think about that, because it's so second nature to
yeah.
them. Even though they go through the whole training process, they may forget or slip up here or there. And that's something I think that you just got to nix right away.
Yeah, and even the venting, like, man, I had a patient today that
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Don't do it. Just don't do
No,
it.
don't do it. Don't do
Yeah,
it. I mean, you never know if your account's public and they feel like they're mad enough at you too, and they Google
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Um,
Bad
no
news.
dice. That's bad
Yeah,
news bears, man. Don't
yeah.
do it. Don't
So,
do it at all.
Ryan, we're getting close on time here, so I just wanted
Yep.
to make sure we hit the questions that we had, and then we can maybe throw in a few more tidbits. So, DZ IMD, I should say. Well, the question was, what are the pros and cons of branding as a doctor versus branding as a practice? I'll let you start.
Yeah. No, I feel like if you're branding as a doctor, you're branding as you as the person, as a professional. And I think Harbir mentioned it earlier. If you're branding as a practice, if you want to go ahead and scale that practice or sell that practice down the road, that practice is going to have particular goodwill that, yes, you are one of the, if you're the solo doctor, then yeah, you're going to transfer that goodwill. But if you bring in other, associates, it just has a different look and feel to people. And, I think it's easier to actually create a personal brand compared to
Mm-hmm.
actually creating a brand that is a company, because
Mm-hmm.
people relate to people one-on-one so much more,
Yeah.
than actually, relating to, for example, I created Intro Wellness. We both have practices, North Lake Eye is my practice in Charlotte. And what's your name of your practice again?
Clarity Eye Care and High Street Eye Care.
So, all those things, when we say those words, if you don't know what the kind of content that we're pushing out,
Yeah,
it's not Apple, it's not Google, it's not Facebook,
exactly.
so it takes a lot more time and effort. But if you're able to build those particular name brands up over time, then transferring that value into sale, or just bringing on more people, then you kind of create that momentum.
Yeah.
But when you do your personal brand, you can really keep that going for yourself. And then when you feel like shutting it down, you shut it down.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I don't think I have too much more to add, to be honest. I guess like you said, like an OD had said to me that the con would be that people are attached to you as a person. So if you're trying to build your
Yeah.
practice or sell your practice, or you're trying to get your associates more patients, then maybe that's the con. But I don't see too many other cons unless you're doing those things that we're saying where you're venting about patients or you're doing things that you're not supposed to do. I don't see any cons in doing a personal brand. Like it's only going to help you. It's going to help get your practice out there. And like you said, people don't really connect with companies and corporations as much as they do individuals. So highly recommend the personal route as well. Another question we had here was from Shaminder at Dapper Eye Doc. Gives me a run for my money, this guy. How does one continue to evolve their brand as they grow and not become stale, excuse me.
Got to be consistent, I think, in general. Yeah, I think starting at a pace that you're comfortable with, a lot of people will see these super, influential people online and they're posting every day, a couple times a day. They're doing multiple stories. Don't try to keep up with that, especially on the front end. Find something that's actually realistic for your lifestyle. If you feel like scaling that up and building that up over time, sure, but you want to find things that are inspirational to you, that motivate you and that you're passionate about. Otherwise, you will burn out and you will say, okay, I'm done. You got to have specific goals in mind, and that's my advice for that.
Yeah. I think evolution is always about changing, right? And willing to change or keep doing new things. And that's what I find has actually been like, I feel like it's really escalated for me. Every time I try something new, it opens a bunch of new doors and a bunch of new experiences. And then you start changing as a person. You create new content. You say new things. So I think number one thing in general, just to prevent becoming stale, is always looking for opportunities to grow and change within your profession, within your community, online. So just make sure you don't get too complacent. I guess that's probably the big word there. Don't get too complacent. Even if you are doing well, still keep looking for new things to do. You should be okay.
It's part of being a healthcare professional, lifelong learning, and part of that learning process is marketing yourself, building a brand. So
yeah, 100%.
How are we doing on time here? Because I know you're still in clinic.
I think we're hitting about 25 minutes, so now's probably a good time to
wrap things up.
Yeah, I think so.
Any closing thoughts on at least the discussion today? Anything that you want to kind of drive home? And I guess I'll leave my closing thoughts. Best way for people to contact you outside of just your Instagram handle, things like that.
So one thing I think maybe I didn't quite say before, or maybe I did, but I just want to reiterate is like having a personal brand can help on so many different levels. So whether you're an established optometrist or whatever profession you're in and you feel like things are good, it's another way to step it up, another way to level it up, to invite new people into your world or bring new patients in. And if you're a new doctor, if you're a new nurse or whatever the case is, this is a way to attract, to build up your clientele, your patient base, to get out there. So definitely worth doing it. As far as connecting, at harbirsian.od on Instagram is usually the easiest way. Again, that's the platform I'm on the most. And as far as like with questions on mentorship and connecting with people, I'm always happy to answer questions. So please reach out. Let me know if I can help.
Yeah, I think today's discussion was an important one to be had. I appreciate you taking the time to connect in during clinic and talk about a hustler over there. This guy's up at 4:30 in the morning almost every day working out. I commend him. He has a little girl and he's got a busy life, 2 practices. He's always doing things. I think just kind of modeling after what he's doing and a lot of other people in our profession are doing, which is just being involved, putting yourself, out there. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to tell people about your passions, to connect with others, to reach out and just to put your best foot forward. You're going to learn what the experience is. Nobody's perfect. This is our first Instagram Live. I'm sure we'll learn from this. And continue to put things forward. But that's really what it comes down to. A personal brand is all about you. Like Harbir said earlier, we all have our own story to tell, our own brand, our own vision. And, doing so professionally in a digital sort of way online is putting together your own digital resume. And it can only open up doors. It can only help you, succeed in your professional and personal career. And so, that's really what it comes down to for me. I can best be reached at my Instagram handle as well, which is at dr.ryancorte, Ryan Court, as well as any other social media platform. Happy to connect as well. Happy to mentor. Just happy to help any new grads, students, and any healthcare professionals that are just looking to chat.
Awesome. And
How many
what we're
patients?
gonna do? What's that?
I said, how many patients you got left in the day?
No, I'm done. I'm done.
You gotta get rocking and rolling.
I changed my schedule around enough so we could
Oh, you're
fit
a
this
good
in.
man.
It's
You're a
the
good
end
man.
of
I
the
thought
day.
for sure you had so.
No, no.
Um,
Empty exam room now for the rest of the night. All right, we're probably not going to answer any questions about contact lenses today, but
yep.
thanks, Sasha. Well, we wanted to just mention that we'll be doing another one of these, right?
Yep.
Probably in a
Yep.
couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We'll let everybody know when we do that, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about content creation. So we talked about how important it is to put content out there. So the next one we'll be touching on what type of content and where we get started and that kind of thing.
100%. If you guys have any other things or topics you want us to talk to us about, feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to do so.
All right. Thanks so
Awesome,
much,
man.
guys.
Have a great evening. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and take care.
Thanks.